Hi there, I'm Jeffrey Storm, and today I'm all dressed up, which means we're getting real. You want to know how to get published? I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you, it's a dirty game. The first step is always the hardest, and this step happens to be write a great book. But I'm just going to leave that there because those words are loaded. I could spend 100 videos explaining what that means. Instead, I'm just going to point you in a good place to start, which is to read a bunch of books about writing. I would suggest starting with Donald Maass's books. His first book is The Breakout Novel. His second book is The Fire in Fiction. His third book is Writing 20th Century Fiction. I do have the first two, but I don't know where they are because we just moved and somehow they got lost in the move. And I'm pretty upset about it because in that same box, I know I had all of my Geoffrey Chaucer and Beowulf in the original Old English, so if it's gone forever, I'm gonna be really upset about it. But that's neither here nor there. Personally, I found that The Fire in Fiction was just like talking about the same things as the Breakout Novel, so if you're on a budget, probably only buy the Breakout Novel. The most crucial step after you're done writing is to exercise humility. You might be coming off the high of writing an amazing book, but in reality, it's probably not that amazing. And right now, you're probably thinking, well, mine is. And I can tell you right now, it's not. Thinking you're hot shit is not gonna get you anywhere. And I know because I used to be that guy. But finally, one day I understood that there is no such thing as a great writer. There are only great rewriters. Once you accept that you have a long way to go, the whole process will become a lot easier on you. Something that may help you understand this is to recognize that talent is a dime a dozen. It's not that rare. Remember that. And unfortunately, it's not always the talented people that make it. I'm not gonna name names, but I'm sure you can all think of one book that's popular for no reason. So what's the secret? Sometimes it's just luck. Most times it's perseverance. Success is at the end of every road you take. And there will be many failures along that road. Think of it as tripping. You do fall, but when you get back up again, you'll be further ahead than you were before. Unless you just lay down and die, or give up. Sometimes you just need to take a step back and see that there might be another path that still takes you where you want to go. So once you've accepted all of this and you have something written down, the next step is beta readers. This is family, friends, people that you're giving it to just to make sure what you've written actually makes sense, and also people who will cushion and sugarcoat their criticism probably, just to give you a nice introduction of what it'll be like for later steps. Because eventually you do need to find somebody who's actually in the business to edit and critique your work. Someone who knows what the hell they're actually talking about. While you may be born with creativity, good editing skills are learned and will take a long time to learn. I'm still learning. My editor just gave me back the first 3 chapters and let's just say there was a lot of red ink. But that's why you need editors. The core of what you want is in there. You just need help expressing it the right way. If you don't know anyone in the business that can help you, obviously go to the internet. Look for someone who not only is an editor, but also a writing coach. When it comes to editors, you typically get what you pay for, but you can expect anywhere from $500 to $5,000 for one read through. I highly recommend an editor. I've gone through 2. But if you feel that's too pricey, feel free to start the query process, and after a few months of waiting just to get rejected, that might incentivize you enough to cough up the money for an editor. The most important thing at this stage is to be open to criticism. You are paying these people for their suggestions. I suggest taking them. A lot of readers shoot themselves in the foot because they won't take anyone else's advice. And editors hate that. Listen to them! There's always going to be some heartbreak in the editing process. And there's always going to be differing opinions. It's just something you're going to have to learn to navigate yourself. When to listen to them and when not to. But I would say 90% of the time, listen to them. You will rewrite this book multiple times, as many times as it takes. Perhaps even abandon your first project. A lot of writers do that. Because throughout this whole process, they learn so much and they look back and see that their manuscript needs so much work that it's not even worth it. It's just easier to start over. You could also try writers' conferences, either before you get an editor or after, maybe even find an editor there. It's a great place to meet other writers just like you who are in the same boat. You can start networking with them, make friends, okay? Maybe start a writers group, trade manuscripts, and that writers group could be your second-tier group of editors, right above your betas and below your real editors. Because a lot of times writers don't know what the hell they're doing either. So it's important to have the cream of the crop edit your stuff also. Though be warned, a lot of writers will want to impose their own voice onto your work when they're editing. So just look out for that. But conferences are also the place to gauge your work against the business. You will sit face to face with agents and they will judge you. At least your query letter they will. And they will tell you what's working, what's not, and how better to get their attention. And you might even spark their interest right there and they'll ask for your manuscript. That happened to me. But these events are not cheap either. The cost of the event itself, travel to, hotel, you're looking at around $2 grand easy. Nobody said this was going to be easy or cheap, but if you really love this and you know this is what you want to do for the rest of your goddamn life, it's worth it. Of course it's worth it. It's always going to be worth it. At the Backspace conference, which is unfortunately no longer in existence, I was fortunate enough to meet Donald Mass himself and talk about my book with him, and he helped me so much. I also got the interest of one of his agents there, and that's how I got my in to the biz. And that was it. My fate was sealed. Well, not really, because I eventually found another path and took that one. But that's a different story. The point is, if I can do it, someone who doesn't even like reading that much, there's absolutely no reason you can't also. So good luck, and stick to it. If anyone doubts you, just let that give you strength. Let it become your goal to prove that dipshit wrong. And do not give up, because remember, success is always ahead of you. And the only way not to reach it is to give up. I'll see you soon.